Hey, welcome back to Miss Maddie's Studio. I'm Maddie, and today I'm gonna be making and painting some clay. I'm using that foam clay. I made this little pumpkin, and I'm just gonna paint it orange, paint the stem brown, really just typical pumpkin. I was trying to go for more of a realism. I decided to try sticking it on a pin to see if that would make it easier to paint, which it did. It did leave a tiny hole in the bottom of it as well. Sorry if I sound off. I am very sick at the moment. Unfortunately, I've been very sick for a couple of weeks now, but it's really getting bad at the moment, and I'm doing this voiceover on Thanksgiving because I just ran out of time, and we ended up having to stay home for the holidays because I was too sick, and my father-in-law is unfortunately also very sick, had to go to the hospital and spend the night and like a full 24 hours at the hospital recently, this past week, and it's just been just chaos in my house, but we're one day at a time here. Yeah, I love the way that the little pumpkin came out. It's very normal pumpkin, but it's very cute. Now, I wanted to try seeing what would happen if I mixed the paint directly into the clay instead of doing the painting afterwards. So I decided I wanted to make one of my monster fruit, kind of like I made in my illustration last month, but I wanted to make it sculpted and add more of the ideas that I didn't get a chance to incorporate into that illustration. Unfortunately, I didn't really like the color, especially on camera. I do not like the way this color looks. It's giving like whoopee cushion. It's giving tongue. I don't know. It's I don't like it. So I tried adding more paint to it, and the color didn't budge. It just stayed. So that's something to keep in mind. I highly recommend this clay to anybody who wants to try a bit of a forgiving medium with sculpting. I really enjoy it, and it is air dry, and depending on what you're making, it will take a couple of days to dry. This one definitely took a good 72 hours to be fully dry, where I felt okay to paint it and seal it off. And I actually filmed this a long time ago, like before Halloween, but I ended up getting overwhelmed by filming all of the things that I was making, and so I ended up finishing these pieces off camera, but I will show you the end results of them. I think they came out great. So that was just the base of the apple, and I'm working on making the I give him little viney legs, so that's what I'm working on right now. I added in some red into the green to give it a little bit more of a muted green, but I end up painting over all of it anyway, because again, I really didn't like it. I think the only things that I end up making that I didn't completely paint over is the teeth and the eyeballs that I end up making after these legs, but everything else, the colors were just way too muted. Now I'm going in and making a mouth, which was harder than I expected, and I should have done I should have done more, and I ended up making the mouth way too small at the end. That was another one of my frustrations. I really wanted it to be more mouth, and I should have made the eyeballs less orbs, because I just kind of made them big spheres, and it ended up being they pop out a little more than I meant for them to. I meant for them to be flat. Here's the yellow that I was referring to with the teeth and the eyeballs, which it was a neon yellow, and it ended up turning like the perfect color for those things you'll see at the end here. And I gotta admit, it was really fun to sculpt all of these and mix the paint into them, but it would be great in certain applications, but for what I was going for this time, it definitely wasn't what I should have done. And see, I was making just little balls for the eyeballs, and I wish I had cut them in half so they looked a little more like they were coming out of the actual apple instead of you'll see at the end, you'll see. Hard to complain about it when you only see the beginning bits here. And now I am making the teeth, which I just I made a little snake shape and cut little triangular points like so, and then when I waited for them to dry, and then when they were fully dried, I cut them in half, and that was what made the teeth. Also, something to be considered with the foam clay is that things can sometimes puff out when you're working, when it's drying. Like the mouth area that I had made on the apple ended up puffing a bit, and I went in and had to cut it more after it was dry. And I've made a handful of things. I'm going to show you at the end my favorites of what I've made so far. Some of them are finished, some of them are not. So now I'm going in back to the pumpkin. I was trying to make some more dimension with these oil pastels that I got, or not oil, I think they're soft pastels. But I just couldn't figure out how to make it work. I tried some of the powder dry, I tried it dipping my brush in a little bit of water. It wasn't working for me. It really wasn't. So I quickly gave up on that. Oh, I think I even used it directly on the pumpkin, because you can see nothing is happening. Nothing has changed. It might look worse than it did before, even, so it's okay. I end up loving it at the end. I use it as a fidget toy all the time. Oh, see, you don't see, but yeah, then I remembered I was actually filming. Sometimes I just get in the zone and it's like nothing else, is happening except me creating that thing. So I think I got orange all over the stem, and then I ended up messing up the paint on the side, getting it all over myself, and that is a messy medium, I tell you what. I like it. I mean, I just don't really like mess very much, and it's like a chalky mess. They're fun for illustrations. I've done a couple little messing around illustrations. Oh my gosh. So I didn't realize that the camera is slowly going down until I had this giant glob of the UV resin on this pumpkin, and by that time it was too late. So I'm trying to compensate for it by moving everything and scooching it as I'm trying not to drip resin all over the place and move the resin around the pumpkin. which I was using this dotting tool at first, and I shouldn't have. I have a bunch of little silicone pieces. So, I'm sorry, my brain is all over the place. Silicone ended paint brushes, and those work perfectly as something to move the resin around the piece. Now, I had to cure this resin I think twice, 3 times. I wasn't sure how many times. I just kept feeling and touching it, and if it was sticky, I did it for a little longer. And I was also just twirling it around the entire time to make sure it got all the different sides. There was a little hair on it, so I wanted to get that off before it permanently stuck to it. And this clay is a really fun medium, and sealing it with the resin is really fun, but it's also terrifying because it's messy and it's a little toxic and it just gets everywhere, and it's a bit much, but it's also really fun. So I have a bunch of pieces that I finished with clay that are sitting painted, waiting for me to gather up my courage so that I can once again break out the resin and seal them all up and finish them, but it hasn't happened. It's been like a month, so we'll see. Yeah, hopefully it'll happen soon. So we are getting to the end. I was just sealing off the bottom of this, so now it is fully sealed, and I sealed up the little hole that I made from the pin. I ended up not using this pin technique for the resin or for the other pieces of clay, because the hole, I can still see it. Resin is clear. So, yeah. So I'm going to show you guys now the favorite pieces that I have. Here is that pumpkin, and now it's been like 2 months after that video, and this is how it's held up. It looks exactly the same, and I've thrown this thing around like crazy. I toss it up in the air and catch it. That's like one of my favorite fidget activities to do. And it also inspired some other pumpkins to be made. This is my jack-o'-lantern that I made for Halloween. Love his little twisty stem and face, and he is flat on the bottom. I also made 2 Batman jack-o'-lanterns, one for Babe and one for his friend who also collects the Batman action figures and all of those. I made this little pencil holder buddy. I don't know. I love this little thing. It's got a skull face, and it holds lighters and pens and pencils and my kneaded clay and all sorts of little doodads all the time. This rose with a face in the middle is a part of a set with this stem and leaf. It is a hairpin that I'm making, and again, waiting for the courage to resin it, because look at all the little details. That's going to take me forever. And now this little snake with a flower hat riding on the back of a snail that's using a bird skull as its home. It is a mossy skull with a dark purple snail, which I love in contrast with the pink snake. And this is the finished monster fruit. I turned the little red blob into a little spider baby on its back. There are the teeth and mouth. I wish it was a little bigger, but I do love the teeth. It's my favorite part. I do like the eyes. All of them have slightly different looks and pupils and whatnot. And there he is again, the little one. And I thought I would add some fun videos at the end here of the puppies finally playing, Chucky and Evie. This is them first figuring out how to play, which Chucky felt safer through the safety of a blanket, until Evie figured out how to go under that blanket and get him that way. And they're very funny together. I love it. Very sweet babies. And this last video is just of today, a little bit ago, where they finally had the courage to play together, but I'm gonna say my piece and let that finish off. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps for the algorithm, and bye!